My name is Zoe, and in this video, I'm going to be giving you some tips to help you improve your balance, especially your balance when going onto releve, which means going onto the balls of your feet. And these tips will just help you achieve more balance in all of your movements, which is very important because if we're struggling to balance, then we are not able to concentrate on all of the other elements that we need to be concentrating on in our dancing, and even also just in walking and in standing. It's always good to have good balance. It's just very helpful overall for our stability. So let's dive right in with the tips. Bellydance Breakdown. Tip number 1 is awareness of where your balance is on the bottom of your foot. So stand first with flat feet. You can even do this closing your eyes if it helps you better feel where the weight is. And we want to ideally have the weight kind of distributed in like a tripod on our feet. Yeah, so one point of this tripod would be on the ball of the feet, somewhere behind the big toe, so towards the inside. Another point would be on the ball of the feet, but behind the pinky toe, so towards the outside. And the third point would be the heel. So we want to have the weight fairly evenly distributed across these 3 points. Now we notice we have 2 of the points are more towards the front of the foot. So we generally do want to have the weight a bit more forwards. We don't want to be back on our heels because then we don't really have so much stability because we're missing all the parts of the balls of our feet that should be in good, firm contact with the ground. Another great exercise for awareness of where your weight is on your feet, and again you can do it with your eyes closed, but would be to stand with flat feet and then gently sway your weight from right to left and try to go really at first all the way as far as you can to one side so you're almost falling over. Or you can also do it to the outside and the inside of your feet, either way. But whatever you're doing, make it very big at first, and then slowly make the movement a bit smaller and smaller and smaller until eventually you find yourself in the center. And you can do the same thing going to the front and the back. So letting yourself come all the way to the front, all the way to the back, so you're almost falling at the beginning. That's good. If you fall, that's great. That means you're exploring your limits. It's important to know where our limits are. And then again, make that movement smaller and smaller and smaller until you find yourself somewhere in the center. So that's great for finding your balance where it should be on flat feet. If you want to find the balance on releve, now we no longer have our heel. So we have the points, the inside of the ball of the foot and the outside, but we want to have the weight more towards the inside. And this also makes sense if you think of the way the foot is shaped, right? We have more, like the bigger toes are on the inside, and then the toes get smaller as you go to the outside. We want to keep the weight kind of in between where the first and second toe are on the ball of the foot. So yeah, it's a bit harder, of course, in releve, but also try to find that ideal point there. So that was tip 1, understanding where the weight is on the feet. Tip 2, and this is a very, very common one, especially for going into releve, make sure that your core muscles are activated. So what does that mean? That means you want to think of pulling the belly button in back towards the spine. The pelvis is a bit in, right? We don't want to have a curve in our back. We want to have everything really activated here. And especially when you are going up onto releve, if you have your core activated and you think about those lower pelvis muscles coming forwards, or a bit diagonal, so forwards and up, that will help, like someone has a string they're pulling you, that can help get that motion, because we are in fact going forwards on our feet, right? Because we're coming off of our heel. So there is a bit of that forwards motion in the pelvis. And then actually when we come down, you don't want to really think about bringing the pelvis back, because then you might overcompensate. So we just want to try to keep the pelvis stable and the core activated. So tip number 2 is making sure that your core is activated. And that's important, especially when you're on releve for a long period of time. Tip number 3, and this applies especially to the act of just going up and coming back down, and this is to use opposition, right? So in physics, we know that every action has an equal and opposite reaction, and we can apply this in our dance. So if we want to go up, we want to push down into the floor. Every time we want to go up, don't think about going up, think about pushing down, and your feet really pushing into the floor is going to actually help you stay up. And even when you're up, continue to be pushing those feet down. And of course, the reverse applies to come back down. Instead of thinking about going down, we think about growing up, reaching the top of the head towards the ceiling, and that will help you come down in a very fluid manner instead of like falling back down because it was so hard. So, tip number 3, yes, it was number 3, is to use opposition. Tip number 4, and this is a great one for either balancing on, say, one leg with flat feet, or, of course, with releve, or in releve, both feet. And this is to close your eyes. Yeah, and closing your eyes, you might immediately start wobbling. That's fine, because balance is dynamic, right? We don't just get into balance and then hope to exactly hold that position. Our body is constantly making little micro adjustments, and our eyes really help us a lot. So when we close our eyes, we suddenly have to really rely on our proprioception, and all those muscles become a lot more active. So you can try it in releve with your eyes closed. Try to hold it as long as you can. You can, of course, always open your eyes or come back down if it's getting too hard. Also trying on one foot, even on flat feet, or even on releve with your eyes closed is a nice little challenge. So, tip number 5 is to practice balancing on something unstable. So for this, I like to use this rubber ball, something like this. It's about 5 inches in diameter, I would say, so 12, 13 centimeters, something like this. Yeah, and what you do with the ball is you would put it on the floor and then try to stand on top of the ball on one foot. Yeah, so you want to put kind of the arch of your foot onto the ball, and then put all your weight onto that one foot. So then you lift the other foot off of the ground so that you are practicing just standing on one leg, and you're really activating a lot of those deep, intricate muscles in the foot. You can also try that with your eyes closed for an extra challenge, but it is a great way to wake up the muscles in the foot. And there are other tools you can use for this. There are those wobbly boards, things like this. That's also great. Anything you can do to challenge your balance is a great exercise, right? So we want to keep challenging ourselves because balance is very, very important, and if you don't challenge it, you will lose it. Yeah, so it's important to do these exercises or to challenge your balance on a regular basis. And like I said, it will make dancing in general just much easier for you, because you just have less to worry about when you are really stable and secure on your feet, whether it's flat feet, one foot, releve, whatever it is, right? Having a strong balance will allow you to improve your dance in many going to improve your balance. If you enjoyed this video, please do give it a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Thank you so much for watching and happy practicing.